really, really happy for you joining me here today. For me, it's 5 in the morning. Um, so I think I will just say that first I will talk a little bit about anxiety and depression, and then we will have an exercise like we always do, and then we can share more. Um, for me, and in the clinic, as I experience it, anxiety and depression are very, very connected. Um, when we, hello Lily, thank you for joining. I was just saying that I'm going to start talking a little bit about anxiety and depression and how they are connected. So, for as I know, as I experience from myself and in the clinic, anxiety and depression are really good friends. And usually, when we have anxiety attack or a lot of stress, the body gets at certain point very tired from the mental exhaustion, from the stress hormones, and from holding this high energy of being anxious and stressed. So for many clients, for people, for myself, I know there's after some period of anxiety, there will be a period of going lower. For some people, it will be more like a blues, and for some people, it will look like a depression. And this is actually very normal, because when we hold this high energy of anxiety and we actually cannot go on our own and relax, so the body gets tired and it's like throwing us into the other side, and the other side is like more low. It's like to rest, but in a different way than just resting. So some people experience it as depression. Does it make sense for you? You can show me with the heart or join in with a question. Thank you, Laurie. Yes, Rachel, I see you're here. Rachel, you want to ask a question? You're welcome.
Thank you. I was just going to share that that really makes sense to me and was never explained in that way to me before. And I definitely have this pattern of getting really stressed and anxious leading up to something. Generally, it's like a doctor's appointment or a procedure or a hospitalization. And then when I'm discharged and I get back to my own environment, the safety of my own home, then I always say like it's my MO to fall apart. And I definitely feel depressed and overwhelmed. And it's just interesting to me that that was never brought up to me in that way. And it just makes so much sense. And so I just want to say thank you for articulating that. At least it helps me feel more typical or normal, I guess.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. I think that's first, yes, as it's really, really common and normal. And I don't know how much you know or what you know about anxiety, how much we know, but it's a very, very intensive feeling. For sure, you have experienced that. The body is it's really alert. Actually, it's all the systems in our body are alert, just as if there was a real danger. And if we see animals in nature and we talk about anxiety and like alertness in nature, we would see, let's say, an animal running away from some kind of a real threat, and then when it's over and she's escaped or won the fight or found a place to hide, we will usually see a lot of shaking for this animal. And this shaking is actually the stress release. But as human beings, we were from very early age learned that physical expression as shaking or talking fast or having this kind of a release is not right. So we need to behave. So we're actually going through a strong threat feeling, even though if it's not happening right now, in the body it's still experienced as high alertness and real threat. But then we need to kind of find balance inside of us and cope somehow in our body. So it's not shown or it's not seen. So there's not even slight release of this anxiety and alertness. And then the body is kind of carrying this all this high energy that was in all the stress hormones, and it has to find this kind of way to adjust inside of it. And we do it so many times in life, and eventually the body is inside is very stressed, but outside looks very normal. And for many people this uh, circle will push them towards a feeling something that it looks more like depression, because the body is collapsing, is tired, and it doesn't find a way for the stress release. So what you describe, yes, I meet this a lot, and I hear about this connection a lot, and it makes so much sense because the body needs to rest, and it doesn't have the rest that we give it, because we people who have anxiety and stress, we usually don't know how to rest. Rest can be also addressed as something dangerous, because if I'm not alert, if I'm not in doing something, that I'm then my mind is taking me over, or I'm even more stressed. So the rest is doesn't exist so much. So if we later on talk about tools, is our goal is to navigate between the stress and the depression into the middle, meaning that if I am able to take myself into forced rest, I'm actually doing myself a really, really big favor. And at the beginning, it can feel very much um, like I'm doing this on my own, and it's artificial. So, but it's the best way to teach the body to rest. And every time I'm going to rest, I'm saying myself, "It's fine. You're allowed. We're allowed to rest. Nothing will happen. It's good for you." And because when we experience a lot of can go back to nature, it's much more easy to understand it in the logically that there's no harm in resting. It's a good thing. um, so, and for us humans, we kind of a bit confused about it. So just doing it even artificially will have an amazing great benefit to our situation. And between this swing of going to high stress and sometimes even high um, feeling of I can do things, and then the other side of the swing is that I go low. Either I get sick or I get depressed or very, very low. And we can also look at what are the sensations that we have in this in depression, because depression is a big word. But if we can just kind of cut it into pieces, then we can see there's a big lack of motivation to do anything, and self-criticism, and this feeling that I just want to disappear. I don't want anyone to talk to me. I don't want anyone to help me. Of course, it has a huge bubble of shame and blame. And hello, Jasmine, welcome. And of course, also this feeling of being a victim of this feeling of depression and anxiety. Also, we can feel there like a feeling that I can't do anything. It's very connected to the lack of motivation, and it's all colored with the big loneliness, feeling of loneliness. So, Jasmine and Julie, hello. We were talking about depression and anxiety, and we were talking about that when we are very anxious and there's a lot of stress in the body, for many people, it will lead to a certain way of depression or feeling of lack of motivation or some kind of a need to rest, and the body is kind of throwing us into that rest. And we were talking how does depression look like, so we can actually see that the lack of motivation, the feeling that I can't do anything, shame, blame, self-criticism, it's actually a lot of it has to do with those feelings of anxiety. So they do have similarities, depression and anxiety. And I was saying that what our purpose would be if we want to look further into the tools, into the how do we get through it, is that we want to navigate ourselves better in between anxiety and depression, meaning that resting and taking my body into something that will take the anxiety lower without throwing me away to rest that would look like depression. Um, would you like to ask anything or drop a question in the chat? Maybe something wasn't clear. Rachel, I can see you shared in the chat that you feel very understood and that you feel that I'm talking about you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're sharing because it is a feeling that we all have, but sometimes it's not been said this way or explained in this way, that it's normal and that it has like the swing that I'm talking about. It's something that we all have, but it can look a little bit different. So thank you so much for sharing this. Hello, Tracy. Welcome. We're talking about anxiety and depression. Um, I was just saying how normal it is that we feel a lot of anxiety and then thrown into depression. You can really leave it in the chat, and if there's a question, you are welcome to ask if something is not clear. I would like to ask if you want to share more about your own depression, so then we can take it from there. But also about the depression and anxiety, of course, when they are together. And if there are no more questions, I'll just continue further. And if you all hear me well and you want me to continue, then you can just give a heart and then we'll move forward. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and participating. I think this is a very, very delicate subject because also from my experience, when we are depressed, it's the feeling is that I don't want to engage into the world anymore, or the feeling that I am a victim of this, or this happening to me so many times that whenever it happens, the feeling is so low that the only thing I can do is go to bed or hide myself or being alone. The feeling that I need to be lonely because I don't want anybody to see me like this again, or to see me going through this again, or I don't want that anybody will need to save me from this again. This is the thoughts of depression. When we in therapy or when we have the right support, we start believing less to those feelings and those emotions. Just exactly the same that is happening in anxiety. When I have anxiety, I feel like it's something is going wrong. I am gonna have a heart attack. I cannot breathe. Here it is happening to me again. So these catastrophic thoughts, they are on both sides. They are slightly different because in anxiety they are more related to the world. It's dangerous. Something wrong is going to happen. And when we talk about depression, the catastrophic thoughts are more about myself. I am lonely, I am the victim, I cannot do anything, I have lack of motivation, and I just want to withdraw. Both of the sides are extreme. So, as much more as I'm practicing in therapy, understanding that I have all good reasons also to be anxious, but also to be depressed, I'm starting to be more centered in the sense that I can hear the thoughts of depression. I can actually hear the thoughts of anxiety, but I'm starting to question both. And this is the beginning of real therapeutical process, because the healing and the way to get out of this is actually questioning my own depression and questioning my own stress, not in the sense that it's not true, but in the sense of how much I believe these thoughts and how much I allow them to limit me in my life. So if the last weeks when we spoke about anxiety, we were saying that first I need to say, well, here I am with my own anxiety. I recognize the symptoms. I know where they're coming and I know their trigger. Sometimes I know exactly the trigger and sometimes I don't, but it doesn't matter because I know the process. This is like acknowledging that this is me with what I have, and then slightly letting go of the shame and the blame, because we know, people who suffer from anxiety, that it has a source. If we are in therapy, if we have help, we know there's some kind of something in our upbringing, something in our trauma that led us to this anxiety. And then the same we can say about depression. This is the way of the body to rest from everything it's going through the day, through months, through years, a lot of suppression that we have in our system that we cannot deal with what we've been going through. And then sometimes the body needs to throw us into some kind of rest to gain our strength back, because there's so much energy and so much strength that the body needs in order to manage the anxiety, to get over it, and then to be back to our life. And then sometimes the body gets tired, exhausted, and really needs some kind of a way to rest. And that's the way for some people. And as I said, what we want to do is first recognize, well, here is my swing. I swing very well in between these two. Also, me, myself, I know it from myself so well. Every time I have an anxiety attack, I know, and that's also a trigger for me. I know that it will follow with some depression, and I will not be able to be myself. I will not be able to be as a functioning mother as I want, or be as I want at work. And also, this thought is already triggering even more my anxiety, because I say, well, now if I feel this slight symptom of my anxiety, let's say I feel it in my left arm crawling up, this kind of a warm feeling, which is not pleasant at all. I know my anxiety is close. And then I already think with my mind, oh shit, it means that I'm going to have depression after. And that's devastating for me. But the next step will be understanding, okay, well, maybe this feeling in my hand is anxiety. Maybe I will have a slight anxiety attack. But my tools, which I already know, is questioning my thought process, asking for help. I have a friend I call usually when I'm in it, so I can hear a little bit more of a healthier perspective, because I already know that when I have anxiety, my mind is so engaged into it that I can actually almost know that it's not truth what I'm thinking, that something is going wrong, etc. Um, so if we really want to uh, look at the next step, we first need to look at our own anxiety and say, here it is. This is me. This is how I accept myself. This is what is happening to me, and it's fine. It's like I need to let go of some kind of huge criticism that is going on in me, and this feeling that not again, I don't want this again, I can't believe it's happening again. This real strong feelings of shame, blame, and it's also colored in victimization. It's not a bad word and it's not a bad thing. This is just what it is. Sometimes I fall into being a victim of this. And I can cry and say, okay, why is it happening to me? But I have no answer and it really doesn't matter. The next thing will be is that I just need to join, not change, just join what is ever happening to me. So if I'm depressed, I just need to say, well, now I choose my depression. Instead of changing it, instead of trying to be better, instead of feeling better, I just want to choose, instead of my body going through to the bed, crawling in, covering my face, I want to say, well, now you're depressed, you had a rough week. The only thing I can do now is be depressed, but from choice. And then it's slightly like resting or slightly being depressed, but I chose it. So then I can really go to bed, maybe have some, I don't know, sad music, or just roll and cover myself with a blanket, or just take some time off, or not to talk to anybody, or not to see anybody, just redraw, but from choice. Whatever I'm doing, whenever I'm joining myself, either anxiety or depression, from choice, it's a totally different process in my body. Because when the body is throwing me into depression, it feels like there's a huge danger. When the body is throwing me into depression, it feels like I'm worthless, that I have no sense of value. But if I choose my rest, if I choose my depression, the whole hormonal process in the body is different because I chose it. So there's not real threat going on there. Does that make sense until now? And of course, you can ask us questions or something is not clear. Thank you, Jasmine. Perfect. So I'll continue. Yes. So I hope that was clear. This kind of a swing that we are going through and that we are dealing with, and that the choice is super important here, because in everything in life. Hi, Kimmy. Welcome. Um, as I said, hello to the new listeners. Um, I will say it again that we are talking about depression and anxiety, and the fact that we're sometimes swinging between having a strong anxiety, rough week, a lot of stress, and then thrown into depression. So I was saying that in order to handle it, we first need to recognize that this is what we have. My anxiety, my depression, it's here. I'm in it, I'm with it, I'm not against it, and I'm not blaming myself for it. And the next step, before I want to change it, before I'm looking towards not having anxiety or not having depression, I want to first join my own feeling. So when I join my own feeling, when I allow myself to feel, when I allow myself to dive into this just as the body wants to, and I'm choosing it, then I'm actually avoiding myself from being a victim of my own body. And then the change is actually much easier, because if I already had anxiety and I experience really difficult feelings and sensations, and then I was thrown into depression and allowed myself the rest, at some point I can ask myself, well, how long I want to be here? What is it that has to be done in order to get better? And I think that the most important thing is actions. And we're talking about small actions. So sometimes just getting out of bed, having a glass of water, or going out for a walk or calling a friend. This is all we need to do in order to start some kind of a process of getting out of it. But we need to do it with a lot of attention to our body. Because if I'm depressed and I had a lot of anxiety and I'm pushing myself to do more, it will just push me even lower. I need to be very attentive and need to have more compassion towards myself, realizing that this is what my body is able to do now. It's these small actions. So I need to plan a master class, or if you need to go to work, or if you have kids, or whatever is your life uh, is about, and we all have our things, it's the next small thing. It's not the big question of, okay, how I'm going to get through the day, or how I'm going to get through the month, or how I'm going to create this 8 weeks masterclass. It's the next small thing, meaning that I need to say, okay, if I need to work, I will do this half an hour um, most important task that I have. If it's something with the kids, then I just do a small, I don't know, dish for the food, or I maybe I order something. So if I treat my anxiety and my depression with respect, I treat myself with compassion, I'm actually stepping out of it so much quicker than what I'm used to, which is either I burn myself, I want to disappear, even we push ourselves into getting out of it and say everything is okay. And one more thing that I want to say um, that is important is that when we have depression that is connected with anxiety, is also the feeling that of big loneliness in this. And the loneliness is because we feel a burden, or we don't want other people to be part of it, so we're not putting on them our problems. And actually, in when we are anxious and we have depression, the best thing is that we will be able to reach for help, because when we were anxious, the source of it, the trauma, or when we were raised in our environment that was stressed, and that's the outcome, we were actually very, very lonely as children. And also, if there was some kind of a trauma, there was nobody there to say, what you're going through now is very difficult. You should feel like this, or this situation is awful, or I'm here with you, or let's say after something was bad happening, then there was nobody that would come and say, what you were going through, it's called whatever been going through. So this hard uh, situation that you had to deal with, you went through it alone. And then the body is kind of a closing and trying to make sense out of it. But in a child's mind, or adult, or in a trauma, it's almost impossible to make real sense out of it. Sorry. So, what we want to do now as adults, we want to figure out and realize that this loneliness is, we're recreating it again and again when we're trying to withdraw from the world, where we feel shame, victimized. This loneliness, it has a way to push us even further into our depression. If the small steps that I was talking about, one of the best small steps is just to call someone. Just by calling someone, realize in the body there is this sensation, well, okay, actually I'm not lonely anymore. There's somebody there that can help me. There's somebody there that loves me, that can support me, that can just say something nice or calming, and it's already making like a huge change to our, even to our trauma, because we are doing this action of not being alone anymore, just as we were when we were kids. um Amazing. Do you have any questions, guys? Lily, Jasmine, Julie, Kimi? Can I make something more clear? Or if you want to share something from your personal experience, that's also very, very fine. Very welcome. Yes, Jasmine. Thank you.
Hello. Well, I saw the group, and I do struggle with anxiety and depression, and I feel like it's getting better. I was on medication, and I had a really bad day where I was being really negative, and I was having negative thoughts, and so I got off them because they said the psychiatrist said if you have suicidal thoughts to take a break from the medication. So, and I've been good, so I just wanted to see how I would feel. And what helped me as well is that I'm, little by little with time, healing from my past relationship.
Yeah.
So I think with the time of healing from that and putting in the work, because I didn't want to obsess over this and just try to do therapy all day, but sometimes you really just need something. And
Yeah.
but I'm happy that now I'm getting to where, since I've been kind of busy, I'll forget about stuff. I'm just lucky I've been busy, but some days I in the morning I wake up with anxiety, but the good thing is I get distracted at work. It I feel like I'm getting better. I haven't talked on these groups for a while, actually, because
Mm.
I just felt like uncomfortable talking. But yeah, I think also my depression. If to be honest, it feels really weird talking about this because
Yeah,
it
I can
really.
totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like I don't want to feel like I don't want to act like a crybaby or like, oh, I have anxiety and depression. But at the same time, I really struggle with that. Like this morning, I was crying, like I felt like I didn't want to be around anybody, but I had to go to work. And I called
Yeah.
my mom in the morning and I talked to her for like 20 minutes, and I was crying, but I think it's just cuz sometimes I feel fine and then other times I'll just feel like devastated. It's kind of crazy. But before it was more consistent throughout the day. Now I know I'm healing, but it's been
Yeah.
a while now. I was discarded like a year and 3 months ago. So now it's kind of been a while, but I didn't start maybe healing like until I don't know. I feel like in the eighth, ninth month, I was still struggling a lot. And I still had moments where I struggled a lot. And sometimes I feel like this complete fear that I'm alone, even though I have my mom, and that I know there's a lot of people out there, but I don't know why inside of me I still get scared. Like, oh, what if I don't end up meeting somebody? Maybe
Yeah.
it's like maybe it's just me, or I don't know. Um, that gives me anxiety. Before, when the discard first happened, was I was grieving a lot of things, like the
Mhm.
relationship, missing him, feeling bad that the reality was that my relationship was fake, and I guess that person just wanted to use me and they were cheating on me the entire time. And also I was struggling a lot with like being hard on myself to lose weight,
Yeah.
because he used to always complain about my weight. So when he
Yeah.
left, I had this idea in my mind that I had to get like a revenge body to prove him
Mhm.
wrong, that I wasn't like how he made me feel.
Yeah.
So it's so many different things, that, and then I was struggling with how am I gonna meet somebody that I can trust in time to have children before I am not in my 30s anymore. And
Mhm.
then mourning like spending all of my 20s in two relationships that it would have been better without them.
Yeah. Well, you describe here a lot of challenges, Jasmine. I want to say first, thank you for being so brave and sharing here with me and with the group. And it's amazing you can share it, because what I can hear from your words is that there's a lot of fear about the future, and about being lonely, and about meeting someone and children, and those are really important and big questions. But when we have anxiety and depression, the thoughts about it are really catastrophical. So what your actions your real actions today are much smaller than knowing if and how you're gonna meet someone. The best thing you can do for yourself is, it's like, if I go back to my anxiety, to my beginning of my process, the big questions, they actually are a trigger for more anxiety. What we want to do is to ask myself, okay, today, now, what is the best thing I can do for myself? For now, when you are suffering from anxiety and sometimes depression, the best thing you can do, like you already do, is really being in some kind of a therapy, having a support, talking with your mom, um, eating healthy, not in the sense of losing weight, but in the sense of nutrition. If first it's like you want to have a small bubble around you and say, well, I had this difficult time. I still suffer from anxiety and depression sometimes. How do I make myself better? And it's like you want to create a little time zone when you're not asking yourself the question about the future. So let's say a month, right? It's like a short period of time. It's not such a long period of time not to handle these big questions, because they are super important, but they are not benefiting with you right now. So you want to create like a time bubble. You want to say, well, for the next 2 weeks at least, or 3 weeks, or 1 month, I'm not dealing with the question of who I'm going to meet, how I'm going to meet, am I going to have kids, when I'm going to have kids, what age I'm going to have them. You just want to be super compassionate towards yourself, saying, whatever I experienced, it's so hard that of course, I need to have anxiety. Of course, I'm supposed to have depression. Now, how am I centering only in myself? I want to be self centered in the best possible way, and good eating healthy, maybe even exercising, maybe talking with my mom every day 20 minutes, and just trying to nourish yourself, to be good with yourself, to have compassion towards yourself, because the source of our there's the source of our feelings of anxiety, and as you say, being in this relationship that wasn't good for you, is the self-worth that is in question there. Also, you mentioned the weight and how he was treating you, and maybe you said, maybe I'm a crying baby and I cannot be victimizing all the time. No, you have all good reasons to feel like this, but it's the self-worth there that is not stable. And what you want is to nurture the self-worth just for a short period of time, but it's a circle. As when you started, it's like igniting more self-care, more feeling of self-worth, and then more confidence, and then less anxiety, and then even less depression. But it's like you need to start this, I would call it like a positive circle next to the feelings that you do have. If sometimes you wake up and you feel anxious, what you want to do is like, okay, here is my anxiety. I have every reason to be anxious. There's no room for feeling bad towards myself. The other way around. My body is carrying me for this life, and it's been through so many anxiety, depression, difficulties, trauma, bad talk from other people, but it's still here for me. So if sometimes it needs to fall down in some depression or in some kind of anxiety, it's okay. It's normal. This is what it's doing to sign you The anxiety is like my friend. It's signing me that something is wrong and I still need to deal with it. So I would really suggest that you just kind of focus on yourself for a short period of time. It doesn't have to be long, and then it will start some kind of a circle that you would feel better. And the moment our body it feels better, it's kind of want more of this. Does it make sense for you? Does it sound something you want to try or?
Yes, thank you. I feel like I have to work on not being so catastrophic with myself. Like
Yeah.
um but I'm getting better at that. But I understand. Yes, it really helped me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, Barbara. Hello, Lena. Welcome. I think now I will suggest that we dive into a little of a body exercise. Um, in this exercise, we will touch a little bit the anxiety or depression, depending what is more relevant for you, and just kind of because this conversation can also be triggering, especially if we sometimes we share and we talk and we hear maybe things that are also related to us. So, and if you are triggered, I advise you also in this little exercise to wait, to allow, because as I said, this conversation, what we want to do in order to heal in the sense, to get better, is to allow our anxiety and our depression to live in our body. Because as if we allow it to be, if we just allow it to pick in some way, for sure it will change, and this other feeling of, let's say, usually it will feel like something more relaxing or letting go will follow. But in order to feel that, what is it there out there after the depression, after this anxiety, this nice feeling that we're all longing for, we need to allow ourselves to feel. And that's what our body was supposed to do. We are allowed to feel our bad emotion. They are not bad. They were categorized as bad, actually, but they are not bad. They are super crucial. They give us a sign. Our body is talking to us through them. So, in this next few minutes, I invite you to put a hand on a part in your body that you know that when you're anxious or depressed is more feeling it. Let's say for me, it's the stomach. It's so tight most of the time. So I allow my hand to rest on my stomach, and I allow my stomach to kind of fall out without this holding that usually happens there. Because also yes, Lenchik, you want to ask a question before we start?
Yes, I would like
Yeah.
to share, guys. I just went through, I just maybe like 2 minutes, shares my kind of observation. So I went through, I was looking for a room. I mean, I've been sharing a lot, uh, some group. So I went through to some, I talked to landlords back to my home, I mean, house.
Lenchik, I'm
Yes,
get it's hard to hear you.
yes. So I just want to share. So how important is to be vulnerable sometimes? Because I was thinking a lot, like how you share, like your past. It's not appropriate, it's too
Yeah,
much. And I was thinking sometimes, like, wait a minute. It's okay to be
yeah,
vulnerable sometimes, you know?
you're so right. Yes. So
Yeah,
if you're driving, you can still
thank
join
you.
to this exercise, but of course not closing your eyes, but just to put like your thoughts into that place in the body that is more vulnerable. Um, so I allow you to close your eyes, and I I want you to take a deep breath through your nose into the area that you chose where your hand is resting, and just allow a lot of air to go into the body. So expand your stomach and your lungs as much as you can. So there's a lot of air going in, expanding my body. It's like a huge mass of air that I hold in my body, and I can actually feel how it's expanding. And then slowly, long letting go through your mouth. The air is leaving your body, but very, very, very slow. We can call it like a circle breath. We want to take a lot of air through our nose, expand, expand, and slowly, slowly, slowly let go. We want to practice.
Can I ask a question? If your neck feels really stiff, like
Lena, I'm sorry, Lena. I'm sorry, but this is now a part of the meditation and the going into the body. So if you can wait with the question, okay? Thank you. So I invite you to take another breath. Whatever feelings are provoked, whatever feelings that you have, it's okay. This is exactly what you should feel. This is what we want to practice. You, as you are, is exactly what should happen. And another breath. So instead of being in the mode of being alert or in threat from my feelings, we want to explore and kind of learn and be curious. Am I depressed now? Am I anxious from this conversation? What feelings and emotions are I experience right now without suppressing it? I just allow myself to breathe into whatever is going on in my body. And I just want to say to myself, well done. Well done for whatever you're going through, and you keep on going. Well done for being able to wake up and stand and do this again. And well done for joining the conversation and asking for support. And well done for wanting something better. It's not obvious that we do what we do together with anxiety and depression. I want to bring a feeling of proud and empathic towards myself, my body, my thought process, that I'm still asking, seeking, going for help. I'm not giving up. All of us here, we're not giving up, although it can be super difficult sometimes to be in our own body. And the only thing we want is to disappear. But we still take the breath and move forward for a better life, for the for for to find what is this that we're longing for, to feel good in our body, to be able to go through challenges, to do things in a different way, the way we want individually for each one of us. There's it's this fantasy how I want to feel, how I want to walk this world, how I want to behave in certain situations. Not because somebody else is doing that, but what makes me feel good. How is it to be me and to be happy with me? And now, for this few minutes, I just allow you to be happy with you, even if there is a bad feeling or thoughts that are not the right ones. It doesn't matter. You, as you are, is just enough. It's perfect. Is good. As much as you expand more your body with more air, and you say this, I'm just perfect as I am, even though I have all these emotions, feelings, and pain and imperfections in my life that I want to change. But in order to change that, I first want to accept what I have now, and that what I have now is fine. It's more than fine. It's perfect. And if I have anxiety, it's a sign for change. If I am depressed, it's a sign for rest. If I have other feelings, I can explore them and understand what is my body telling me. But first, I want to breathe and say that it's enough. What I am is enough. Take a few more breaths and just try to feel if there's something new in your body that wasn't there before. Some feeling, sensation. I invite you to notice it, to breathe in it, and to share if you can feel something that wasn't there before. If you feel fine, you can just give a heart. And we still have 4 minutes left for whatever you need. Barbara, Julie, Lily, Lena, you are welcome to write on the chat or to write in my personal chat. Find me and ask your questions to have more answers. Okay, so if there's no questions, I can just say that the fact that you are here is already a step out of anxiety and depression. And the fact that you are going through everything and still showing up it means that you have so much more strength and self-care and more than you think. And self-care is exactly this feeling of I can do for myself, small steps. So I appreciate you coming here and showing up. And thank you so much. It will be amazing if you can leave a feedback after this conversation also for other people to read. And I'm grateful for you and for being here. So thank you so much. We still have a couple of minutes, and you can put a question in the chat or just say something that would be nice. If not, then I hope you will have a good night. Thank you so much, Barbara, Lena, and Lily. Lena, you were asking exercises for relaxing, so it's a really good question. Just what we did today first is the breath is the most important for relaxing. And what can help is also allowing, and if you have a sensation of anxiety, instead of trying to relax, you need to squeeze and allow the body to go a little bit into this feeling that I'm tight and strong. So because the body wants to get stressed, it wants to close up. And if you allow yourself to squeeze with the body, to bring this tension and even do it even more. So like now I'm doing it, I'm kind of closing my chest. And this is when we have anxiety. And then when I can hold this tension with my go, find me on media or write me on Facebook, Instagram, email, and we can have a chat and I will share with you more exercises. Thank you for your question. If you want to talk or share, now it's the time. Yes.
Are you, sorry, Yulia, you're talking about progressive muscle relaxation, right?
I'm not calling this progressive muscle relaxation, but it's just allowing yourself, maybe it's the same, I just don't know the name, but it's just if sometimes when we have anxiety and you want to, the body is kind of stiff, it wants to tighten up, it wants to squeeze. And what we are doing usually is everybody would say, oh, relax, relax. But the body doesn't want to relax. It wants to squeeze. It wants to tighten up. So you want to kind of do this with your shoulders even a little bit more. Like, it's like I want to go with my body, allow my body to do what it wants to do. So I'm respecting my feeling and my sensation, and I'm going with it. So I'm squeezing a little bit, I'm choosing to tighten up, and then when I'm holding it for a couple of seconds, I just release my hands and shake my hands, my head and my chest, and then the feeling of relaxation is much, much, much more bigger. It's allowing the stress to leave my body in this sense. But we can continue talking about it more in the personal chat, and I will send you some more information about it. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night, and I hope to see you here next week for the last masterclass of these 8 weeks. Thank you so much, and good night. Lena, I hope that was helpful for you. Barbara, thank you so much. Lily, thank you for being here.